Hi, my name is Daniel DeVries. I'm in charge of all our farming around here, which means I grow all our hay. But before we go talking about all our crops and how we grow our hay, we gotta start where the plant starts, in the soil. But what in the dirt makes our plants grow? Well, just like us, we need to eat and drink so we can grow, and plants need to do the same. Inside soil is fertilizer, and that fertilizer contains nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, sulfur, all things needed to grow a big, strong crop. So our soil gets those nutrients by us applying the cow's poop, the manure, to the soil. You can see little bits of it here and there. And that's filled with nutrients. And in the ground, you have small microbial life. And that microbial life will eat away at all the manure and all the sticks, all the organic matter. And out of them comes plant available nutrients that the plant can take up and grow. So we just got done washing all our cows and washing the barn with all that water. Now where does it go? Well, all that manure and water collects in this pit right here. Out of that pit, we have all that waste water. And what we do with it is we pump it up to this giant screen right here. And this screen will filter out the solids from the liquids. Obviously the solids fall in this big pile right here. Let me show you what we do with the water. So we take that wastewater, which basically is just liquefied manure packed with nutrients, and we spread it on our crops. So as I said before, our cow poop is what provides nutrition for our crops. But how do you get all this thick, clumpy manure to be readily available for the plant? Let me show you. Well, it all gets loaded into here. We'll hook this spreader up to a tractor. We'll bring it to that pen. We load it up. And this gets carried over to a field that's nice and bare and ready for a new crop. And this spreader will spin these tines here, and this will break up all the big clods and spread it nice and even on our fields, creating nice, fine, plant available nutrients. So how do we get all that fine manure down into the ground? We got to get it down there so that it's in the root system of the plants. Well, we'll drag our disc and other tillage equipment over the field with a tractor. That'll mix the dirt and the manure really well. We have our manure fertilizer, it's on the field. We've ran our tillage through the field, mixing it in, creating that really nice seed bed. Now it's time to plant our crop. And we do that with what's called a seed drill pulled behind this tractor. Let me show you what it looks like. So in here is where we keep our seed. Let me show you. When we go to plant, we'll put our seed in here. And if we look at the bottom of this seeder, we find that it has little troughs. And the seed will fall down into that. And let me show you the bottom of this. It'll fall down the bottom of that and go down these rubber hoses here. The bottom of these rubber hoses is a pair of discs. And what these discs do is they make a small furrow in the ground that the seed will then drop into. Once that seed drops, it has to get recovered again with soil, enough so that we have good, what's called seed to soil contact. And that is achieved with this here. This is a ring roller that will then, again, bury the seed with soil. So our soil is prepped, our seeder's filled, we've ran through the field, we got seed in the ground, and now we irrigate. And over time, we will get seedling plants just like this, and a nice, long rows throughout the entire field. So there's three crops that we grow here to feed our cows. The first one is a cereal grain, more specifically wheat, and that's what this crop is here. So the other two crops that we grow, first is Sudan grass, but that's not in season, so I can't show that to you, sorry. But our third crop, and the crop that we probably spend the most time growing, is alfalfa. We grow alfalfa because it's filled with protein, and that protein the cow can use to create lots of really good milk. So in alfalfa farming, we have certain pests that we have to deal with throughout the year. The first being insects. We deal with what's called aphids and weevils. And what they do is they'll eat away at the leaves of the plants and the sugars of the plants. And the leaf on the plant is what, as dairymen, we want. The leaf is where all the protein is at. And so we're constantly monitoring our plants, trying to see what the aphid and weevil populations are. But not just them, there's also beneficial insects, and those will eat at the aphids and the weevils. One of the biggest ones that we have here is lady beetle, or as a lot of people know them as ladybugs. Let me come show you here. We got a lot right in front of me. Here we have the ladybug, or lady beetle, in its larvae stage. These will eat about 30 aphids or weevils a day. We also have adults right here. And they also help us to protect our crop from insects that might harm our plants. So finally, it's time to reap what we sow. We prepared our soil, we put the manure into the ground, we fed our crops with nutrition, we've given them water to drink, we've taken care of our pests, and now it's time. Let's harvest our crops. Well, we harvest our hay 2 different ways. The first is green chop. Now the green chop is basically a giant mower behind the tractor that's pulled through the field. It'll collect up in a chute, and it shoots it right to the back where there's a wagon. And that wagon will collect all that feed that we just harvested. And once we're done and we filled that wagon, we go head over back to the dairy. And that will feed out that feed right in front of all the milking cows on the dairy. And they love it. It's like candy to them. Fresh feed to make that great milk. Our next way that we harvest is baling. Now this one's a little more timely. You see, what we have to do is we go through with a different tractor called a swather. And that basically mows the whole field down and puts it into rows. These rows are about 5 foot wide and separated at 10 feet. And over time, the sun will take all the moisture out of that crop that's now laying on the ground. We call that our drying period. And as that dries, we will continually monitor it. And once it reaches the moisture that we want, which is below 20%, we will rake 2 of those rows, we call them windrows, into a bigger pile, a bigger windrow. And so I'll take another tractor with another implement called a baler. And what that baler will do is it will run over this now big windrow, and it will collect all that hay, and it will pack it and pack it and pack it into a really dense hay bale. And that bale will be collected and then brought back over to the dairy. Now the advantage to baling is that it's dehydrated, which means that we can store it longer. There's no moisture in it that may cause mold or decay. So now that we have our hay baled, I told you that we brought it back to the dairy. Well, where we bring it is here in our big haystack along our mangers. And now this is where it'll be kept until it's ready to be brought over to the commodity barn to be loaded and fed to the cows. But like I said before, the advantage of hay is that it's dehydrated and we can store it like this for a long time. But now we gotta keep the moisture off of it, especially rain. When rain comes, we have these nice tarps up on our haystacks. That rain will fall on top, bead off, and roll off the sides, keeping our hay nice and protected.